Hello and welcome to the Listening Post's unboxing channel on YouTube. Today it is awesome to be able to share with you this brand new Pro-Ject turntable, the E1. Pro-Ject has been delivering some astonishing performing budget and entry-level turntables, and this sets them apart. It is utterly brilliant. A lovely trickle down of some of the things that we see in some of their much higher end turntables, but also an acceptance that there is a core, a basic engineering that must be in place for a turntable, otherwise it's going to sound awful. So this is a not completely entry-level price point, but what it is an absolutely stunning example of where a few $100 more than basic and budget can deliver some astronomically improved performance. Okay, so firstly, the E series is designed to be part of their sort of plug-and-play design. They're going to do a phono version and a Bluetooth version. Don't get me started about the Bluetooth version. Nevertheless, these entry-level products out of the box are ready to go. In the Pro-Ject factory, they set them up with the counterweights and all of those types of things, so there's no need to fuss around. Of course, for those that might be looking at upgrading things in the future, well, that's going to be another turntable, perhaps the debut or something higher up the food chain. This is designed to be fit for purpose straight out of the box, have some fun, and make it really, really easy to replace some of the consumable items like the belt or the stylus when the time comes. So, let's have a look. Pro-Ject. All of their packaging's pretty muted. We've got a box here with some scannable information associated with the model. Now, the E1's going to be available in 3 colourways. In fact, the whole series is white, gloss black and walnut. Now, as we all know what white and black looks like, I've chosen to unbox the walnut today, and you'll see it's delineated its colour off the side. Also, from a performance perspective, this is pre-fitted with an Ortofon OM5. It's quite common for turntables in lower price points to have some very, very budget cartridges and styluses. In fact, some of them are awful. It's wonderful to see that Pro-Ject's continued collaboration with Ortofon has paid off, with them able to provide an OM5, an award-winning entry-level cartridge, into such an affordable price point turntable. Obviously, the scannable information associated with the serial number and some basic information associated with its power things. Again, Pro-Ject logo, and then everything's duplicated. Opening these, really straightforward. The products themselves are held with sort of a paper tape, unlike a clear packing tape. As always, be careful when dragging the knife across the top. Don't fire it in too deep, and perhaps lift it so that the knife doesn't need to touch things beneath. And when you open it, you'll kind of see why I was so careful. And firstly, we'll see the felt mat separately in a plastic bag. Now, that's one of the essential little accessories. The platter itself is plastic with some engineering inside it to ensure that it's rigid. But the felt mat is a critical part of setting that up. In fact, look, as always, hang around for some close-up photographs. I'll take some slowly sort of assembling this. The accessory pack, along with a colour information sheet about how to set it up. Now, in here, Pro-Ject have chosen to include a tip scale for adjusting the counterweight. Now, again, it's a plug-and-play unit, so there's no need to adjust that. However, if you want to check or perhaps change things in the future, it's wonderful that they've added that. It also allows with the hole to help with alignment of alternative cartridges. Great to see. We've got Pro-Ject's belt, and it's screen printed with the Pro-Ject logo. Again, hang around for some close-up photographs. There's a 45 adapter along with an Allen key. Chances are that Allen key is to loosen off the counterweight if required. And a full colour setup brochure. There's a layer of cardboard, and then lifting out the Perspex cover. Now, taking the cardboard off the cover, have a wee sort of tug, and you'll see that one end actually is protecting the hinge part of things, so it'll slip off easily if you sort of do that. Okay, nice and easy. The lid itself is inside a soft polished cloth bag, and it ensures the lid remains completely scratch free in transit. And it's a simple little attention to detail that Pro-Ject have learned over those years, and it's wonderful to see that trickle down to even a budget turntable like this one. Now, because this becomes sort of pre-assembled, there is some additional packaging to ensure that the unit doesn't move around and that the central pulley and bearing isn't damaged to the front. And that's this section of cardboard. It's taped in place. It's relatively straightforward to sort of yank away at that packing tape. Okay. And we see that last little thing, which of course is the turntable itself. Now, lifting it out and putting it off to one side just for a moment. Firstly, we'll see a connected RCA cable. It includes an earth, and clearly, again, hang around for the close-ups. You'll see the left and right is indicated by colouring inside the RCA terminals themselves. Okay. We've got a DC power supply. It's their standard 15-volt power supply. You've seen it on all of the other videos. A couple of pieces of polystyrene, and then right at the bottom, the platter itself. Now, as I alluded to, and to hit the aggressive price point, this platter is actually made of plastic. Now, it's not just plastic. There are some formulas used to ensure that it's quite rigid, and we'll see on the bottom all sorts of additional elements to ensure, again, it's rigid, but also these sort of cutaways and grooves and all sorts of divots to make sure that it's perfectly balanced and rigid, and it's not going to resonate. So that's wonderful. Despite this really budget price, they've thought about all of those things that they will need. Now, again, as we revisit the turntable, the turntable is protected inside a plastic bag. Now, because the leads are fixed in place, you want to very carefully slide that bag off, because it's going to try and snag on the interconnecting cable. I guess that's the disadvantage of having something factory fitted like that and not removable. However, we see in the Phono version a traditional interconnect that can be removed. Sitting in the polystyrene, unfortunately, it's actually suffered a little bit of cosmetic damage, and some of the polystyrene is stuck to it. Right, getting rid of that bag. What we see is that the tone arm is aluminium, tubular in its design, with as few pieces to it as possible. And the tone arm itself is supported in transit with a couple of pieces of closed cell foam to stop it from moving around. You'll see that this is a departure in design from their primary E and a significant upgrade in not only aesthetics but also performance. One of the first and most obvious is that they no longer have a large external motor, it's internal. And with that, to change speeds without having to change the belt, they've introduced one of the speed box sort of switch designs that they have seen in the debut Carbon Evo. It has a 3-position location, off being in the middle, and then 1 being 33 and 2 being 45. So it's great to see a trickle down of some of those improvements that have been made further up the range. It means again that the motor can be beautifully isolated, and in fact this has some rubberized grommets to ensure that any vibration from the motor is virtually eliminated. It has a central pulley wheel. It's plastic, it's straight out of the debut range, and a lovely bearing kit, and it's wonderful again to see some trickle down of some wonderful design and engineering. The arm itself, as you can see, and again, as always, hang around for the photographs, is one of their sort of older designs clipped in place with a classic raised lower device. It's got plastic feet, and they're independently isolated, so they will actually do a wonderful job of reducing vibration and other things as you would expect. And there's a felt pad on each of the feet as well, and again, attention to detail despite its price is wonderful to see. The cartridge and stylus, the OM5 as I implied, again pre-fitted, ready to go. At the rear we see the connecting cables and the 15-volt DC input associated with the motor. The hinges are very well designed. I mean, they're functional, they're a hinge. And assembling it is really, really straightforward. The lid, careful now not to let one of the things slide too far. You've got to line it up nicely and then slide it on carefully, and as the lid goes into place you can see that the hinges perform very, very well and stop the lid in wherever you need to. Right. The next step, of course, is to put the Pro-Ject belt on, and please do me a favour and put it with the Pro-Ject logo out and upright, and then clip it over the motor, and it's pretty straightforward. Okay. The process then is the light assembly associated with adding the platter and then the felt mat. So, there we have it. Pro-Ject's brand new entry-level turntable, the Pro-Ject E1, their plug and play turntable, in walnut, unboxed here at the Listening Post in Christchurch, New Zealand. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, subscribe to our channel.